Essential WordPress plugins, a debate that I have all the time, and this is something that is very near and dear to my heart because at LiveViral Media, we use WordPress as a CMS. We build out truly incredible things on WordPress, and it is possible to do for free. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm Dan from LiveViral Media, and this is the essential WordPress plugin stack that I personally think every professional website needs. So at LiveViral, we prefer to do things at the lowest cost to clients. We don't just go get a bunch of plugin licenses and do all the premium stuff. So we're going to take a look at our actual stack that we use, how you can use this for free, and kind of just walk through a few things that may be helpful. If you're new to WordPress, check out the channel. That is something that we talk about a lot. Actually, I'll just backtrack to that. We have a video about what is WordPress, what is a CMS, and the basics of website design. That's a great one to check out. This is good for a little bit more advanced people who are looking to expand from the Gutenberg basic functionality into something a little bit more, not fancy, but not as basic, especially in 2025. So let's jump into the slideshow, and I'll try to make this not as boring as it looks. But the foundational framework, I think every professional website needs at least 7 core plugin categories, and I'll explain why. The first one is security layer, right? You need protections against attacks and malware. That's done both on the server level, but also on WordPress. And I will say that we host our own client websites at LiveViral on our own servers. So we control that. We have daily backups. We've got weekly offsite backups. We've got a whole bunch of security protocols in place. WordPress, not so much. So when you get WordPress, we'll have some suggestions in here of what you can do to help secure that. And I'll just ad lib a couple things that I've seen success with fairly recently as well, protecting against things like, credential stuffing attacks and just trying to brute force people's way in. Performance layers, which is your speed and optimization, so your speed and caching and that sort of thing. And let me just pull up here on my other screen. I'm going to go ahead and pull up actually our real, we'll just pretend we're doing a discovery call here. This is our wiki, which, by the way, we built this on the LiveViral website with WordPress. You can see it's WordPress up top here. You don't have knowledge to this wiki if you're not logged in. This, for instance, this wiki tab actually does not show up on our public-facing site. But some tools that we use is PageSpeed Checker, Accessibility Checker, Dead Link Checker, GeoPeeker, Sitemap Generator, and Wayback Machine. Let me explain why I'm doing this and how you can use this to your benefit. The first one is pagespeed.web.dev. That is a free tool. Google puts this out, and you can just punch in your website URL here. It'll give you a score out of 100% on how fast or slow your website is. And then it tells you all of the images that have issues with contextual load or first paint or whatever the issue is, and you can go through and refine it. Definitely go to pagespeed.web.dev, any browser, punch in your website. Super, super helpful. That being said, the next category is your SEO layer. So search engine visibility and rankings. The broken link checker is good. You put in your website here. It'll check for broken links. You can do, again, it's free, but you can pay to upgrade. You can use tools like SEMrush for keyword research. You can, I would recommend using a schema markup plugin or a tool as well. But there are websites that do that. Schema, I believe it's schema.org, is the collaborative community that's free as well. This has support documentation, schemas, validation, all sorts of stuff. So poke around there, schema.org, and that's free as well. Those are helpful. And then you need a backup layer, data protection and recovery. We'll get to that here in the slideshow shortly. The form layer, which is your lead generation and user interaction. WordPress tends to have issues when it comes to SMTP protocols and communication. And depending on who you're hosting with, if you host with like GoDaddy or Cloudways, I've seen a lot of issues there. We don't have issues. Again, we host our own, so we can do the server side stuff fairly simply, but there are some plugins that help with that as well. Your analytics layer, tracking and insight. Honestly, Google Analytics is our go-to for that, but there's a specific plugin that we'll cover. And then your page builder layout. Like I said, Gutenberg blocks are very convenient. They're very handy. And there are tools that you can use. Like, for instance, if you just type in WordPress patterns. I'll bring the screen back over. WordPress.com/patterns. This is something you can literally go through and find headers, footers, 404 templates, blog posts, whatever, right? When you go in, if you like this pattern, there's a bunch of different options per category. So we'll wait for that to load. And say you like this one with your address and the map. If you're just building in Gutenberg, you're not doing anything fancy, just the basic WordPress editor, you just click copy pattern, you paste that in, and you're good to go. That, like I said, will work, especially for a blog or just standing up a website fairly quickly. It's not what we prefer to use, however. We will pretty exclusively build on Elementor. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual security layer. Wordfence security is one option. It comes with a comprehensive firewall, malware screening, which is automated, login protection, and then it does have two-factor authentication and can block brute force attacks. This is a great plugin just to bolt onto your website. What I will say is anything WordPress plugins, I would be remiss if I did not mention that they tend to weigh it down. So what I mean by that is it can often be resource heavy. You can have issues on your server side. You can have page load speed issues, all sorts of stuff that come with plugins. And typically if you call like GoDaddy tech support or whoever you're hosting with, and you say, hey, my website's broken, I need help, how do we get it back up? The first thing they'll say after they ask if it's WordPress is, have you disabled your plugins? And they'll tell you to go run it in safe mode or disable your plugins and reactivate one by one to see where it's breaking. So just be careful when you're installing plugins. Always look for the, how should I describe this? Matrix of trust, I guess. So if we go to WordPress, we'll say plugin store, for instance, WordPress.org/plugins, what we're looking for, and then you can do this through your WordPress site as well when you go to the add new plugins, but like Gutenberg right here, you know, is 2 out of 5 stars, not great. So I'm looking for typically 4.5 stars or better. But then I also look and weigh heavily the number of people using it, right? So 11,400, 4.5 stars is way more powerful if these are side by side to the 2,329 there. Again, different plugins. This isn't like categorical. It's just a bunch of random stuff. But point being, take into account the number of reviews. 48 is not a whole lot, right? Those could be stuffed reviews or paid. Always take into account that when you're installing something new. And I would recommend doing any new plugins in a staging or test environment before you actually deploy live. So Jetpack Security, though, is the one that we prefer to go with at LiveViral just because it's that all-in-one security solution. It does also have that automatic malware screening and the scanning, the malware or the downtime monitoring if you don't have that on your server side. And it does have spam protection for comments and forums. That's really good, and it comes with a lot of instances of WordPress, again, depending on your host, but it's very light to deploy and to run. So I would only choose one, though, because like this says, if you just want it to work, just choose one, and typically go with Jetpack for simplicity. Wordfence is great for more granular control. It can do a lot more, but that's far above where most users are. Your performance layer, right, for speed, if your SEO is on point, if your paid search is on point, your funnel building is on point, and you get people to your website, but they don't stay, that's a problem. So typically you want your performance to load in under 2 seconds, ideally faster the better, right? And there's a couple things that can help with that, especially if it's content heavy, like at LiveViralMedia.com, for instance, we have this home bar animation. And the animation changes depending on what we're doing, what we're promoting, that sort of thing. But we also have buttons. We've got, our over 5,000 clients there with our 5-star reviews. We've got our ASU case study, right? Our law firm case study with the Children's Museum, Swift Transportation, all this stuff. We've got a video with a jump link. This is all great, but it has to be quick. So you can see when I'm scrolling that these are almost preloading. They're kind of animating their way up. Like I'll click Best Western, right? And you'll see that image. That's because I'm logged in. It actually works for you. It's just a weird bug with Chrome. But you can see like this loaded right here, for instance. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your images will load. Things will be quick. And you can do that with a couple things. The premium plugin is WP Rocket. They do have a paid version, but you can also use free stuff on here, and just having the basic free one will still help. That's doing things like your automatic caching with file minification, lazy load. So like it's loading what's on the page below the fold or below where the reader is. So that will just, come on up as soon as they scroll to it. Core Web Vitals optimization, that just helps with some of the backend stuff. And then it really requires no technical setup. You turn it on, or you install it, you activate, and then all of a sudden it just starts working with the pre-selected settings. You can go in and, of course, modify and customize and change and all that. Smush is image optimization pretty exclusively, and it is good at compressing without quality loss. It essentially just reduces the file size and improves your page load times automatically. I will say that there are other plugins as well that do a really good job of changing from like a PNG format, which is fairly lossless and high resolution, high file size, to like a WebP format, which is a little bit more friendly, or AVIF. Those are formats that, depending how deep you are in your content and SEO strategy, you might want to look at. Typically, I will say, word of caution, those plugins, when you do add some, and there are good ones out there, do not, on the free version at least, retroactively go change and replace every instance of that image. So this is a great thing to figure out before you stand up a website or before you build it out fully, because if you put pictures in every single web page and then you go compress or change the format, it will upload the new instance of that photo into the library or your gallery as a new file, and then you have to manually relink. What happens if you delete all that stuff that you just converted is it will crash those images on your website. It'll show your alt text, or if you don't have any, just be blank or have other errors. So make sure that you figure out your performance layer before you deploy. The performance impact really on these is very noticeable. It can take you, this is like the number one thing that we do to help client performance when we're taking over or auditing a website, is we'll install one or both of these plugins and get like 40 to 60% load time improvements from most websites just from this, without doing anything else. SEO layer is really important. RankMath does have some basic stuff. Advanced SEO, which is good. It does have some AI features. Again, that's paid. It will do your schema markup. Believe that's paid. It does keyword tracking, Google Search Console integration, all the really important stuff. So RankMath is a really good one to have, but most of those features are paywalled. Yoast SEO is also good. It's very user-friendly. This is the one, honestly, that we prefer, just because it has real-time content analysis, your readability check, so it'll tell you, like, is this a super complex writing style or format? What's your reading level? That sort of thing. It also will do an XML sitemap generation, which I believe on that is a paid feature as well. But it's weird. Sometimes I've seen it work for free. So I'd say that one just depends. I don't have the answer on that, but check with the developers. And it's perfect for beginners, which is why we like it. Because if we build a website and then we hand it off to a client and we're not managing it at LiveViral, this is really user-friendly. It's really good for their content teams or their moderators or whoever to just kind of take off and run with it. Your backup layer, right? This is your safety net. I only have one recommendation on this on the WordPress deployment side. I would say do server-side stuff. That's more important for sure. But UpdraftPlus is nice for a few reasons. It does daily automatic backups, right? So you can connect it to a Google account, which is what we recommend. Connecting it to the client's their own Google account, because then it sends that file directly to them as a zip file. It'll back up databases, plugins, content, all the stuff. So where it's really beneficial, especially if you're transferring services, you send it to your cloud and then you switch over to your new server. You just download that into the new WordPress application and boom, your site is live, completely the same on a staging site with PHP versions, hopefully. But I mean, really versioning of apps and plugins and all that stuff is all captured. So that's good. The cloud storage integration really is beneficial. It does have one-click restore, so if there's a big oopsie and somebody crashes your site with a plugin or something like that, as long as you can get to your dashboard and get to your plugin, you can just click restore. It'll pull all that page data back, which that's not how we use it. We use it primarily for transference. So like I said, switching service providers, or if a client just wants their own completely unplugged copy, that's really good because you send it to Google Drive, download it to a hard drive, flash drive, whatever, right? And then you're good to go. So like, for instance, I've got my little 256 micro SD, do an offsite backup, stick it in the safe, and you're good. Your website is preserved as a snapshot in time. The incremental backups to save storage space is an important point because if you do full backups, especially if you're not doing data management, this fills up quickly, like a lot, like 50 or 60 gigs, depending how many sites and assets and that sort of thing you're running. But every time it backs up, it saves that entire copy of your site. So every backup, you're just doubling or tripling or whatever. It's just increasing by the site size in your drive. Form layer is good. Like I said, there's there's SMTP issues with WordPress quite often. So OptinMonster is the really advanced lead generation plugin you can do with exit intent pop-ups if somebody goes to click out. It's got countdown timers for stuff. It's really good for like A/B testing. You can convert visitors into subscribers for your newsletter and customers a lot more easily. So that's a really good one. OptinMonster is great for e-com sites. However, I will say that also tends to be more on the premium paywalled stuff. WPForms is what we recommend. It's got drag and drop form builders with 45 plus input fields. A lot of the fields are paywalled. So like if you want, it might be phone number. I think phone number is paywalled. So we just use a number form if clients don't want to pay for that, if we're just building it and handing it off, that sort of thing. A lot of these plugins though, we will build and we'll just have full functionality for the client. So it only really comes into play if you're not hosting with us, or if you're doing this on your own for a portfolio site and you just want a deployment that doesn't cost you stuff every month. Great for content forms and lead generation, and it's very, very friendly. It does have payment integrations for the premium side as well. The capture rates, if you have a form that works, obviously 200 to 300%, is the lead capture increase there. You want people to be able to contact you when they want to contact you. MonsterInsights is good for using Google Analytics dashboards that look really simple. The Google native implementation is I'm spacing on the plugin name right now. Let me pull it up. SiteKit by Google. Apologies for that. This is one that is Google native and that will integrate with your Google GA4 Analytics suite and can help integrate into Search Console, help with AdSense, speed tracking, all that sort of thing. Absolutely get SiteKit. That is a non-negotiable for us. It's very, very beneficial, but MonsterInsights makes things a little bit more pretty, especially on the premium side. With real-time visitor tracking, you can do more behavioral analysis, e-com integration, the form conversions and trackings, right? And then you can do a lot of advanced stuff and kind of build out your own dashboard from there. So how do you actually build the pages once you have everything set up on the server and the WordPress deployment side? Well, Elementor Pro is what we recommend, or just the base Elementor is free, but that's really drag and drop, like low to no code, and you can do advanced widgets. There's like Pro Elements, you can get the Envato plugin, you can do a whole bunch of stuff that really makes this pretty and introduces a lot of advanced functionality. They do have theme builders, so you can, like if you use Envato Elements, you can basically see the build kits that are free or they're premium, of course, as well. Click add, and then it just like populates with whatever that design is. And a word of caution here as well. When you do that, it does include the assets. So it'll pull that from the developer server and put it on your own server. So it does take up space. Usually not a lot, but if you're playing around with designs, I would say go clear out, the old stuff in your gallery just to make sure you don't have a bunch of images that aren't used sitting in there. Responsive editing is good because you can actually do mobile optimization. You can look at the page on desktop, tablet, or mobile, and then dynamic content integration with custom fields. You can do a whole lot with that as well, but that's a little bit more advanced. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I totally get it. It's a lot. It's a lot even for us. We have SOPs in our own wiki just to keep track of best practices and that sort of thing. Our WordPress experts can actually help you build a bulletproof plugin foundation. We do projects just turnkey, so they're completely ready for you to go. or we can do consulting. Visit liveviralmedia.com for that, or subscribe here on this channel for more tips. The whole reason I do this is because I believe information should be free. My background is as an instructor, so I like giving away information. Where people pay me and where I make my living is because we do things the right way the first time. So if you're watching this and this seems way above your pay grade, or you just don't have the time or energy to learn, give us a call. Visit liveviralmedia.com. We can help you out, and we can get your website either optimized in its current state or built. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much again for joining us. I have weekly content on here and a bunch of shorts that we're going to start producing as well. A whole WordPress deep dive series. So go ahead and subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what you guys want to see next. Thanks again.